Well, hello everyone out there. Welcome to this week's Snippets micro message. My name is Margaret Burk, and I'm so glad that you could join me just really quickly. So we're getting into a new season shortly. We're wrapping up this year and we're heading into the most wonderful time of the year, which is the celebration of Christ's birth, which is so amazing. And, I think sometimes we get so locked into hustle and bustle and that it just comes and goes so quickly. We don't spend quality time, with family and friends. And so I think that sometimes we miss out on just some of the feel and the feeling of the season, the spirit of Christmas, and communion and community and all of those things. So just wanted to share with you real quick about, refocusing and refining the focus on refining ministry and refocusing. Um, you know, Lots of people do their New Year's resolutions. You know, the great time of Christmas is over and past, and we have the new year upon us, and we tend to go, okay, now we can just kind of breathe and start fresh. And there's going to be so many words given prophetically. I felt in my spirit even this last Sunday that the Spirit was saying, turning over a new leaf. And, whenever I hear things like greenery or leaves or anything like that, leaves for healing, leaves mean renewal. Um, you know, those kinds of things come to mind, and turning over a new leaf, like a new season, a new beginning. And prophetically, we've been speaking, God's doing a new thing for decades. And sometimes we end up calling the new thing the old thing with a new title. So we're still doing all the old things, only calling it something different and calling it new. And when he does new things, he completely changes perspective. It's not necessarily order, it's perspective. It's the way we look at the way we do things, and we get into alignment with his purpose and his plan. And I think we sometimes get so locked into business as usual that, maybe we'll put a different slant on it, but we're still ending up doing the same things over and over. So, I I like to sometimes just break out of that mold, and you'll hear me talk about this quite a bit. My whole focus in most of my ministry is transformation. Transformation. God is a God not only of reconciliation, but He is also, once you're reconciled, you're transformed. And we see a lot of reconciliation. Like, we've got great evangelism, we've got great programs for getting people in and getting them, washed in the Word and those kinds of things. But the transformation part, and the maturing part, you'll hear me talk about a lot. Now, I go with the old adage of, if you always do what you've always done, you always get what you always got. That's the same with the church. So we end up putting in these systems and routines that could be valuable. God will use them. But he is changing things around, or even the mindset of some of the ways we think. And my big target is the way we think about ministry. And so I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I really have a lot to say. But I know that I'm going to just say this, that, Lewis has been doing this great teaching on the kings and priests, the royal priesthood, which, if you haven't caught it on our Sunday mornings, tune in. I have done an extensive training on the kings and priests, which I might end up doing because I have just a different kind of insight on it. It's the same, only different. It's just Margaret's view and my study of kings and priests. I lay it all out. I have a workbook format, and I would love to do that probably the beginning of next year. As a matter of fact, I'll be probably working with Lewis to do some trainings and some some conferences and stuff. So be on the lookout for those. But one of the things I want to talk about just briefly is getting perspective, because when we think about ministry, a lot of the time, the body of Christ thinks about pulpit ministry. And now more, it's not just pulpit ministry, church congregation ministry. It is itinerant ministry, where you're doing what I call the circuit, like you're looking for speaking engagements, basically. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not all of it. And if we look at our world and the impact that we're making, not everybody is going into the church. Christianity wants to pull everybody into the church. And when I talk about everybody in the church, I mean talking about getting church membership, getting, what we call discipleship, getting them plugged in, all of those things. And I don't mean that in a derogatory, I didn't mean to make it sound like it was derogatory, but we use these phrases where they're good, but God really wants true relationship. He wants true healthy relationships. He wants a true healthy body. So that's part of it. And it may need some revamping. Some of it's working, maybe some of it's not so much. But what we see in our society and our culture is a stepping away of things that we consider not ministerial, where there's no ministry involvement there, which is not true, because ministry actually means to serve. When Jesus washed the feet of the disciples, he was showing that you're supposed to serve. He didn't call them into the church and say, we're going to have a feet washing. He was leading by example, saying, this is how you're great. You are a servant. And so who do you not serve? You serve God, and then there's all these other places that you serve, and that's called ministry. And when we think that ministry is only allotted to one realm, one place, then it excludes a lot of the body of Christ, and it excludes a lot of the impact of the body of Christ, because there's no validity. It doesn't seem to be valuable. So what is happening is all of our society structure suffers, because the only place that Christ is in the church organization, right? So then along comes a couple of people, and I will look up their names and I'll put them in later, but they had this same vision, and they shared it with each other at a lunch date that they called, they happened to be in the same place at the same time, wanted to share this vision that God gave them, found out it's the same vision. Well, Lance Wallnau took this information and he pretty much launched it into what a lot of the church knows as the 7 mountains. And it's the 7 mountains of influence. And there's lots of other ministries that have the same concept. So let me just talk to you briefly about this. Those 7 mountains, so to speak, that are business, media, arts and entertainment, government, education, family, and religion. Okay. And with that being said, is like, the church has left the building. It's kind of like the church has not left the building. So we've got a lot of church people in the church congregation, which is part of it. And when I say mountains, I mean we're supposed to take authority and have influence in certain mountains of influence, bringing the kingdom of heaven, apostolic understanding. We're coming as apostles. We're coming as ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven, and bringing that transformational atmosphere, the realm of the kingdom, wherever we go, not just to church on Sunday morning. Okay. When I say religion, I'm also talking about religion as a whole. I'm not talking about church. So have we actually taken the mountain even of religion? Because here in the United States, even though Christianity is predominantly recognized as as per capita, the people of the Christian religion seem to be more than half. in the United States. It might be dwindling now because people are looking to other religions, and that even a small percentage of religion is having more influence in our culture than our Christian religion. Okay, influence. So we're losing, I was just going to say, we're losing our saltiness. Okay, I don't want to say that lightly, but we're losing our influence in establishing the culture, establishing a Christian mindset, being Christ-like in the earth. So, but that's just one thing. Religion's one thing. We should be like the top of the mountain on the religion. And but there's also these other areas of influence, and we sometimes do not focus on those as important because it is not what we call full-time ministry. And I know Lewis was touching on this just a little bit at church. He was saying, those Ivy League institutions, those very well recognized colleges and educational institutions were all founded on Christian foundations. They were established by Christianity. Everything was all about Christ. They were established on that. And we withdrew our influence and caused this vacuum. And now it is becoming very progressive in mentality, and they're actually pushing out the thoughts of Christianity in which they were founded on. And so this goes to show the results of vacating the mindset that we're not to influence or minister in other areas outside of the church four walls of the building. And so what else do we see suffering? We see suffering in government. We see suffering in education. Look at our education system. Look at our families. We've got a divorce rate in even our Christian society that is it's just astounding. It's jaw-dropping. And that should not be. We're a covenant people. So I think that, when I go through this, I'll say them one more time: business, media, arts and entertainment, government, education, family, and religion. There needs to maybe be a refocus, like, Lord, where have you called me? Everybody is on an assignment. They're on an assignment from God. Not everybody is called to fivefold ministry, which is for the equipping of the saints for works of ministry, and for even the edification of the body. And so you may be called right where you're at. When we only recognize the pulpit ministers as true ministry, then what we do is we water down and lessen the effects or even the understanding of the influences in these other areas or mountains. Now, there's more than this, but these are 7 typical, what we're going to talk about, in our culture now, are high levels of influence. And so if we regroup at the beginning of this year and really focus on pouring our lives into ministering right where we're at, ministering to our family, my goodness. I hear so much about pastors' kids and how they just are, because there's such a dysfunction in so much priority for the church congregation over their own family. And, family is what God talks about all the time. He's our Father. So he has family in mind. Everything is related around family. And so we should do that well. And, that's part of the leadership, even in the churches, to have a sound family. Things should be great. You should be able to run your household well. And so this is becoming more of a long snippet, but listen, there's so many areas that we could be affected in if we do not lose focus on the importance of our walk day to day. And I kind of liken it to this. I have the mentality of when I wake up, I am called into ministry. What is that? I wake up, I minister to my family. I get ready for work, and when I go to work, I'm ministering at work. And sometimes I even get to talk about Jesus. And that is true. And so it it gives me my assignment. God purposed me in this time for a season to walk out in this assignment and do these things. And I minister at church as well as I minister in the marketplace, when you're at the store, when you're praying for people. Is that not ministry? So all of these places are places of influence. It's really time for us to readjust our thinking and really focus on where God has us. So if you're in a neighborhood, that's part of your ground. This is part of your realm of authority. It's part of your realm of influence, your friends, your family. All of those places are where you get to start. And then it can grow and go from there. So just quickly, wanted to leave you with that. Maybe a different perspective. I hope you got a little nugget. You're probably going to hear a lot more from me on that subject because I'm pretty passionate about it. And we certainly do need it in our culture. So until next time, I certainly hope you're having a great time with family around this beautiful Christmas season. Just wanted to give you a nugget to ramp up for next year, and I'm pretty excited about it. So until next time, and I probably won't be on Snippets on the 26th. That's my daughter's birthday, and it's the day after Christmas. So I'll probably see you next year. And so until then, bye for now, and God bless you, and Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year.